Yeah.
or stucco.
Yeah.
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 Alright.
Alright, we got 3. Whew. Sweating?
Oh, yeah.
I'd hate to send her out of home, so we don't have a few there. You know,
Man. My feet were so sore.
how many do we got?
I didn't see
Four.
any agendas.
Total.
How many
5.
agendas?
So I guess today would.
I'll plug up that more.
Hey,
Thank you.
long time no see.
I know. Not traveling. Good to be back.
Yeah.
Was just plan on me being gone and stuff.
Yeah.
Here, I'll give you this one.
I got one here.
Oh, you got one?
Make copies up quick.
Suppose I'll wait till Nick gets back.
Anybody else like to do that?
Yeah.
That one?
Thanks, sir.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good.
Sure, I'll take one,
Alright, good evening. Call the meeting to order. Are there any additions to the agenda?
Make a motion to approve?
Alright,
Second.
a motion and second, all in favor?
Who was the second?
Alright, we will start with the public hearing for rezoning application of the Alfheim addition.
All right, Commissioners, you received an application to rezone the Alpine addition from agriculture to R2 multifamily residential. Property was annexed a handful of years ago, I think probably 3 years ago, upon the subdivision of the larger parent parcel. In addition to the annexation, required the dedication of approximately 300 feet of the existing driveway on the north side of the property as public right-of-way for future street use. Property is now under contract with a contingency for the successful rezoning. The property is bordered on the north, west, and south by the agricultural zone, on the east by the multifamily housing zone. Tonight's public hearing has been scheduled and noticed for the public to speak on the rezoning application. The chair is advised to ask for speakers in favor of or opposed to the rezoning, after which planning council can have some discussion and take action on the application. In terms of city's policy perspective, we look to a couple different documents when determining a recommendation on such an application. Obviously, the comprehensive plan is probably the first thing that we're looking to when we look at future land use. In terms of future land use on this property, there's no official designation, which leaves it open to the possibility of R2 zoning. If I recall correctly, during the comprehensive planning sessions, we talked about housing along Cleveland. The comprehensive plan also includes a number of goals and policies that impact the decision. First, to encourage new residential growth within existing city limits and provide opportunities for residents to live and work in Lennox. Last but not least, the housing study has highlighted the need for multifamily housing in the community, and this type of zoning would likely encourage that housing, that kind of development, thus increasing the number of rental units available in Lennox.
All right, I guess we'll open it up to anyone who would like to speak for or against the rezoning. If you could you please state your name and address and?
James Gibbon, 46581 282nd Street, Lennox, South Dakota. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak, and most of all, thank you for your service. This is a difficult organization to be part of, planning and zoning. I had a father-in-law by the name of Howard Opine, and his property is directly west of Lennox. And this is what you are working on tonight, possible rezoning of that from agricultural to single or multifamily housing. I farmed this piece of land for approximately 50 years. I know it very well, every foot and inch of it. I am no longer farming it due to the fact that when my father-in-law passed away, we split up the farm due to estate, and the farm that the piece of property, approximately 26 acres that you're looking at rezoning, belongs actually to my sister-in-law. I've always, my interest in this is that I own the pasture that is adjacent to this piece of property. My daughter, Betsy Hills, who's here, who wants to speak also, owns the acreage. And obviously, we're concerned about what possibly could be rezoned and moved into this area. You know, I kind of always thought that if Lennox grew, that it would probably grow more towards the north and the east, and maybe the south, but not to the west. You know, you move west, and you run into water issues, you run into Long Creek. God help us, we run into Turner County, right? And so, I guess it surprises me a little bit. This area is very low. It has water issues, and Lennox adds to it. When water comes off First Avenue, it comes with such a force that it goes across under the culvert, and the ditch of Cleveland can't hold it, and it shoots out into the field. And it can't be dug deeper because we got all kinds of telephone and infrastructure and whatnot buried in that road ditch. So there are issues of flooding that I think we need to address. I know that I've always believed in school administration, and when I also worked in county government, you need to take care of little things before they become big things. And so before you make a decision tonight, I just want to bring up a few things that you need to have, to keep in mind. And, you know, this isn't a fire. This isn't something that you have to do right now. This isn't something that you have to make a rash decision. Let's make sure we take some time and make sure it's done right. Now, I say that because I also know that you need growth. I know, I've read your reports. And, you know, people that live here have a good time. Lots of them live here, they enjoy the small town, they enjoy the schools, whatnot, and they can be in quick proximity of a workforce in Sioux Falls and Harrisburg and so on. And, you know, the other morning, I got dismissed out of the hospital at 6 a.m. And my wife and I drove down the interstate. We got off at the Lennox exit. And from about 6:20, driving west and then south into Lennox, I don't know, I think we met maybe 65 to 85 cars. I was just amazed how many people at that time are going to work and are on that road that live here, probably in Lennox, or maybe some live in Parker, I don't know. So I know that housing is an issue. Not many people can afford housing issues, and now it's apartments. But at the same time, there's growth with apartments, there's also riffraff that goes with it. You need streets, you need more police force, you need different things as well. And I hope that, you know, you weigh these decisions to somewhat, you know, we have a right to farm. And, you know, some of these things will affect people in agriculture. You know, our biggest problem we have in the county right now is our fast growth and the water issues that we have with it. And yet, you know, we talk about economic development, and we're all for it, because municipalities benefit from it, townships benefit upon it, and of course counties. And we open our arms to anybody who wants to come in from the outside, you know, for economic development. But yet at the same time, we kind of forget about the people that have lived here all their life, that pay taxes, that do business here, that buy groceries here, and so on, and that are affected by these things. And we mustn't forget those people as well. And I hope that, you know, when I say these things, I'm trying to help you make a constructive decision, because I just don't think that this is the right thing for the city of Lennox right now. And I just am not in favor of this change of venue, so to speak, at this time. I know that my daughter has probably more things to say than I do, but I think that most of all that anybody who loves the land hates to see it go into another form. And right now, I know that we're dry. We don't have issues with flooding, but a lot of years we do. And I just want to make sure that when that does happen, that we're ready for it as well, if this does take place. We didn't get off to a very good start yesterday. Yesterday, my daughter was at the end of her driveway. Here comes someone to survey the land. And I thought that was quite interesting that they came to survey the land before you even made a decision if you were going to approve it or not. And not only that, they had a plat from 2022. They didn't even have a current plat. And they were trespassing on our property. We were very nice, we were very cordial, but at the same time, if this is the way we're going to operate, people, we're in trouble. Because I expect more communication and a better understanding of what's going on. And so I hope that in the future, I know they were said, well, we were told to hurry up and survey this before the snow flies. Well, that might be true, but last I saw, the snow wasn't going to fly right away. So anyway, I'm a little upset about that, but we'll move forward. But anyway, thank you again, and please don't be in a hurry to make this decision until you have all your facts. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
I'll ask you to get your paper here, let me know when you're ready.
You're good.
You're good?
Yep.
Okay. All right, Betsy Hills, 27851 Cleveland Avenue, Lennox, South Dakota. Well, it's no surprise to everyone, I have the ties to this land, being the adjacent landowner, and because I do, I know a thing or two about it. I'm gonna start with the emotional aspect, and then I'm gonna get to the facts. Anyone from here and knows the beauty of the Dock Opine place knows how special it is. It was my grandfather's place, and developing it was not his intent. I have a beautiful fox which lives in the trees, I have deer, I have pheasants, I have raccoons, butterflies, mice, and of course cattle in the pasture. And if you've heard my dad speak, he's probably literally the only living person who knows the most about this land besides my mom. So I really hope you listen to him. Now let's get to the facts. This land and surrounding land is in a FEMA floodplain. This is public knowledge. on the county website, but I also brought visuals. And sure, anybody can say you can put enough dirt on land and you can build, but you really have to take this into consideration. Again, this is on the county website. This is the 2024 FEMA floodplain. The FEMA floodplain is in blue right here, and this is actually the developer's pending land, and then the orange, or I guess the yellow, is the 500-year floodplain. So you can see there's very low spots, and this is the south end of the proposed site. I also have another picture, or some more pictures, because the June 2024 flood lives rent-free in my head. This is actually not my land. This is north of the driveway. This land is tiled, and I will get to that in a minute. But this is what happens when you have too much rain on some of this low ground. This is actually a picture of the proposed site, and this land is tiled as well, but this is what happens when you get too much rain, and this is just an example of the June 2024 flood. This is the pasture. Anybody from here has seen this, 5 feet of water, especially if we have too much rain. The tile dips into Long Creek and the pasture. This is also the end of the driveway. Look at that mess that we have, and this is also tiled. So I have visuals for everybody to look at as well who is interested. Now this has a point. I'm not just here for show and tell. If this gets rezoned, I have asks that I would like to be met in order for me to be a good neighbor. And this is not just for me, but this is for surrounding landowners, because there are multiple landowners affected by this. I have a couple, but I'm going to highlight 2 tonight. So if you're going to listen to anything I say tonight, please listen to my 2 points that I'm going to say. Number 1, there is tile connected between multiple fields with multiple landowners and those responsible. It hugs Cleveland Avenue when it goes under the driveway. This tile needs to be fully functional with the city and the developer. Why? Because this is in a FEMA floodplain. This is not just a regular field. This will impact many people if the tile is cut and not fully functional. Probably it'll probably impact the developer's land more than anybody, in all honesty. This will not just be my problem. This will be the city's, developers, surrounding landowner problems, and these pictures will look a lot worse if this tile is cut and we get a huge rain event. I have a contact of mine who owns a tile business. I gave him a call this week. I wanted to make sure I had my facts right, and he said to me, quote, "This will be one hell of a problem if it is not resolved." And this takes a lot of people to get this resolved. This takes working with the engineer, the city, the developer, landowners. There are a lot of people to make sure that this becomes fully functional. There's some other things too. Also, this will not drain into my land. Let's be very specific about that, and part of that goes into the plot that was not up to date. Let's also not forget my private water line and some other things too. We can talk about that at another day. Number 2, there is a pasture to the west, which will always stay a pasture. Now I need an easement, and this is by necessity from the developer and city if this is rezoned. And keep in mind, this is not just because I think it would be nice and I think it would be convenient. This is due to necessity. This is a necessary easement. This is because where the property lines lie, in proximity to Long Creek, there is a large portion of the pasture that I will not be able to get to if I do not have an easement. So I either need to get an easement, or I'm going to have to swim Long Creek, which I'm not going to do, or I'm going to have to trespass to fix fence, check fence, chase cows if you rezone. Again, this is a necessary easement. In closing, I have ties to this land. And because I do, I know a thing or two about it. And I hope what I've asked for will be met and addressed right away. Because if this is rezoned, I want to be a good neighbor and potentially start this relationship on the right foot. If this is rezoned, you will have to work with me, because I'm not going anywhere. The pasture will always stay the way it is. So whether anybody likes me or not, you're stuck with me, and you will have to work with me. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have visuals. Would you like to see this? Should I pass this around to you all?
I was here during the flood.
Yeah.
I
I
drove
mean,
through.
these are of these specific areas. I can even label them. So why don't I?
Yeah, give them to Andy.
Yeah, because our corner was flooded.
How you doing?
Ralph Trolson, 27821 Cleveland, Lennox, South Dakota. I've got multiple deals deals, I mean, a lot of it's already brought up, the flooding. You know, I've been there for 35 years now in my house. And my house, I actually was landlocked in the last flood. I mean, I couldn't go in north, it was flooded. Everywhere, south, east, and west, completely flooded. One of the major things too is I'm thinking about the infrastructures of this stuff. Cleveland right now is getting to be a real bad road. Now, we put multifamily in there, and now pretty much the only thing that they're gonna be able to do is take, the highway through town, or they come up on Cleveland and go on the gravel road to get out of here. I just don't understand why we're trying to put a multi-family housing on the furthest end of town, so that it makes all these people go through town. I think a lot of the things would be a lot better if we take it, like he was talking about, why can't we go north or east? Like I said, the traffic is just gonna be terrible.
We got Quaker Manufacturing.
I'm
there
sorry.
too.
I'm sorry.
Excuse me.
You can-
When you wanna talk, you can come up front,
Okay, go ahead.
just to kinda keep it together.
But like I said, the traffic is gonna be terrible. As far as Lennox goes, that's the worst intersection we have in town. I mean, it is terrible. You guys drive it, right? You come up to the intersection, and you practically gotta have your car pointed west to make sure you don't get run over. My daughter got in an accident there, I don't know how many people I know have. Now you take a multi-family, and as far as I know, I heard that on the east side of the road, there's a multi-family going in too. So,
Got pictures too.
I would think that if you're gonna be putting a bunch of multi-family people, does anybody know how many units are going in? Or could go in? I mean, could they put 5 units in or 1,000?
I mean, I don't know the math, but I don't know if you could fit 1,000.
Well, I'm just saying, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I don't really wanna get into a real dialogue, but
Yeah.
without discussion, we're not necessarily approving plans for anything.
Yeah.
All that we're discussing tonight is if a chunk of land should be zoned
Yeah.
multi-housing or light industrial or industrial,
Yeah,
or, you know,
I understand that, I mean, one of the things,
you know, that's the discussion we're having tonight. We're not, we don't have plans of, you know, we didn't approach anybody as far as a planning and zoning committee to add something there. You know, all that happened was someone looked into buying a piece of land that was available and are putting in for a rezoning. You know, that's where we're at tonight.
but that's the problem with the whole thing too, because the fact is, you don't know what's going in, and none of us do. Like I said, is one house gonna be put in there? Or, you know, like I said, 1,000. So, I mean, it's kinda hard for us to sit there and go, yeah, fine, put it in. But then next thing you know, we got a 1,000 unit apartment in there, and next thing you know, you got 2,000, 3,000 people, or 500, 600. Now, I know my house itself, I have a lot of problems with my water pressures. I'm on Cleveland, just north of there. Okay, now you put multifamily in there, am I gonna get any water? I mean, there's 1,000 different things a person should look at before you actually do say yes or no. I mean, like I said, I don't understand how anybody can make a decision unless you find out exactly what's gonna go on.
So again, like I said, and I understand everything we've talked about tonight.
Yep.
And there's steps that go into things. And in order to put in 1,000 units, all of the utilities would have to be able to accept that. So in the case that something like that would happen, which I
Well,
don't,
I'm just taking it to
wouldn't,
the,
but right, you know, everything would have to go through an engineer and make sure it would be either upgraded or allow, you know, something like that. So like I said, anything that could happen there is not gonna get approved tonight.
Yeah.
You know, all that is getting talked about tonight is if this piece of land would fit good into our, city as a rural or a R2, you know, zoning. You know, so to say that approving something like that tonight is approving 1,000-unit apartment is not correct. You know, and so, like I said, everything is being looked at, but that's not what we're approving.
Well, the last thing I gotta say about this is, like I said, I'm still looking at the deal of you're putting up, units going in on the farthest end side of town. Now, all the traffic's gotta come through. And like I said, there's gonna be two different ways. Go past the school, head north, or you can go straight up Cleveland and take the gravel and out. And now you already got a housing complex there that you guys have got going in. And just like you said, you sit there and you go on the road, I can't imagine if you put a multifamily in right where they are, how much traffic there's gonna be.
You'd have to redo that road.
Anyway, thank you.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Mitch Marcotte, 309 East 6th Street. I do think we need more multifamily, but I'm looking more at the reasoning behind it. A lot of times it falls back to the housing study or the plan, where it's like that. I looked at the housing study and the rough numbers made me uncomfortable. I didn't agree with them, so I did a little research and I came up with a population growth of about 1%, which doesn't seem like we really need something like more multifamily housing. But I live in an apartment, so I'm kind of favored towards multifamily housing. You know, it's convenient, it's available, you know, it's usually less expensive and less of a headache. So I do see that as being an attractive thing. But going back to the housing study, I spent about a week working on it with AI and everything. And I found all the records from Lincoln County, everything. I mean, I pulled up every imaginable thing you could think of. And I came up with the same result. Our growth is about 1%. And that doesn't really say that we're really growing as fast as we're portraying ourselves. And I would like to see and find out more about the housing study as to how it was developed, where the information came from, what was the formulas calculated to come up with those numbers, because those numbers seem a little fantastical to me. I would say they were very appropriate for Sioux Falls. I mean, if you actually wrote that or read that as Sioux Falls and instead of the word Lennox, it would be appropriate. For example, you know, Canton's not that far away from us, but they're shrinking. And T is obviously doing better, so is Harrisburg. Those are visual things. You can drive down the street, see new buildings, new stuff all the time. So you get a little feedback visually. Well, with Lennox, it's a little slower. We got the new housing district. And it's got, I think 150 open units, or, you know, that spots to fill. And so, you know, multifamily, we are kind of hurting there. But when we fall back to the reasoning, is that we need it. I don't think we need it. 1%, that means, that's a pretty small number. And you could argue and say, oh, it's bigger than it, but no, it's not. I've found every single possible data point there is. I spent 30 years working with computers and data. I might not be an expert, I might not be the smartest guy in the room, but numbers don't lie unless you misread them. And for example, we have a lot of housing sales, but that's not new housing. Not all of it, right? You know, some of it's out there in the new housing district, yes, that's population gain. But if you sell a house that's old, it's net zero. So you can't use that house sale as like in the numbers. And when you take out all that stuff, it falls back to what we always have been. We're growing at the same rate that we always have, which is great. It's phenomenal, because we could be shrinking. I mean, if times got tough and people stopped buying homes, used homes, new homes, we actually could go lower than 1% growth. And then we'd have an issue. So when it comes to spending money, we have to look at what is our base tax population base, you know, how many people are paying into the tax base, how many property owners? And that should be what the decisions are made on. It's like, how much money do we have? Now, we could always say, oh, we can get millions from the government. That's great, but how much do we have to match? How much will a loan be? And when you start looking at how much money we got into things, it starts looking pretty scary. You know, we got the TIF district, we got, which doesn't contribute to a lot of the social needs in town. And now we got, we're looking for money for the fire department. You know, there's kind of a hook in there. And we got the water tower, and now we got the school. And you guys have nothing to do with the school, I understand that, but it shows up in the taxes. So people are paying more money out of their pockets every time you pick a project and you spend money on it. Because it's our money, it's the citizens' money. You're playing with our money. So when it comes to making decisions, whether they're trivial, like just rezoning property, or they're something big, like, you know, working with LADC to do something. Be careful, you know, and if you need information about what I discovered, I'll give you the link and bring you to all this stuff. It's quite amazing. And again, I request that I need more information about that housing report. So whoever made it and whoever has the data, I need to see it and understand it better, because it does not jive with anything that I have discovered. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Jane Gibbon, 46581, 282nd Street, Lennox. Is there a zoning for single-family homes?
No.
No?
Yes, there is.
Yeah.
I don't know, I can picture single-family homes there, but a multi-family home, an apartment complex, I just think there's better spots in Lennox than that one. I think, you know, considering everything, the floodplain, everything, I think there's better places that could be found for an apartment complex. And, I don't know, I think you should think about this before, you know, if we have a big problem.
Thank you.
Hey, Joshua Chase, Lennox Area Development Corporation. I just want to speak in favor of this rezone. It aligns well with the comprehensive plan's goals to attract new residential growth in Lennox. It's wouldn't be considered spot zoning because it is adjacent to an existing R2 zone. For that reason, we're in favor.
Thank you.
My name is Linda Trolson, and I live at 27821 Cleveland Avenue. My issue is, every day, I get up in the morning, and we have traffic that comes into Quakers. Big, huge trucks come into Quakers, one after another, constantly, all day long. But in the morning, there's like 2 or 3 of them coming. On that corner where people come in from Cleveland, or from Chancellor, they come into that corner, and that corner is dangerous as hell, excuse my language, there's been people that almost got hit. My daughter got hit. That traffic, we'd have to have like a turn lane in there in order to have enough traffic to go through there, because that traffic is constantly coming. Between that and the corner that comes in from Chancellor on the other side of this, people come around that corner like a bat out of hell, excuse my language. And we want to put more traffic in there? And then kids that are going back and forth to school, they go across that constantly. When they come out of Lennox, they go on Cleveland, go over to the school, that's the fastest way for them to get there. When they're in that one part of town, that west side of town, they come out on Cleveland, go down to the corner, and go over to the school. So you've got all that traffic that you're gonna put more traffic into. Does that make sense to me? No, it doesn't make sense. I lived in Seattle for 13 years and had to get out of there because of the traffic. And I moved to Lennox to get out of the traffic. And then you're trying to put more into my road. Excuse me, it's not my road, but Lennox's road.
Actually, it's not even Lennox's road.
Well,
It's a
yeah,
county
that's true.
road.
It's Perry Township.
Or
Well,
Township, yeah.
because we're in Perry Township, but that's what I'm saying. This does not make sense. There's other places around Lennox that is vacant, that you wouldn't have to put a lot of work into, that would make more sense than to rezone that and put multifamily in there. You could put like maybe a couple houses in there, that would be fine. But putting in a multifamily, it's crazy to think that is, down the road, maybe that would make sense. If you redo that whole road, you would have to redo that whole road and put in, like I said, turn lane, like you do on the other side of town. That would make sense. But then you also have the flooding. I got a picture of these kids going down my street with those tubes, those noodles, all that kind of stuff down our street. They were having a hell of a good time, but that whole street was flooded. That's why we couldn't get out when they had that last flood. Because the road over by Rotz's, that was blocked. That gravel road that comes in over by Rotz's, that was blocked. The one where they put that new culvert in, that didn't help any. That was flooded. I mean, it was just pushing through there. And you want to not repair that problem, but you want to put more stuff in? That just, to me, that just doesn't make sense. I'm sorry. I just wanted to speak my word. Sorry.
Thank you.
We'll let it adjourn. It's crazy.
Anybody else? Okay. Do I close public hearing before discussion?
Close public comment and then
Okay.
commission discussion.
Close public comment at 7:37. Guess I'll go first just because I just kind of made notes as everybody was talking, just so I kind of could talk through things. And again, like I said, we're not approving any specific plan of anything, just rezoning. But just to kind of talk to some of the issues, like with traffic and that kind of stuff, with stuff like that, traffic studies come. And when that happens, roads get fixed. And so as far as leaving it the way it is, it's probably a lot farther down the list of things to get fixed than if there were some growth that was gonna happen. you know? And I'm not saying that, yep, there's a master plan to fix that whole road. I don't know that, you know, I'm sure there would have to be an agreement between the city and the county and the township and all of that. That's all way over our head, you know, over this room's purview of power, if we have any. But they're not, there would be no, we're just gonna throw a 1,000-unit apartment in without thinking of traffic and stuff like that, you know. That would never happen. As far as putting something on the west side of town, farther away from Sioux Falls, personally, I think that is a great idea, because then people have to drive through our town, past our businesses, to get anywhere. You know, if you put everything on the northeast side of town, your town's gonna die a lot faster than putting it on the southwest side of town, where people have to drive through our city, you know, past our establishments, past our businesses, you know. So I'm not saying I'm right, you're wrong. I'm just saying in my head, it would make just as much sense to put it over there as anywhere, you know. As far as the emotional attachment to the land, I see that. I agree with you. I'm a wide open spaces kind of guy. But also, you know, living that close to any town that you care for and want to see grow, you gotta expect it to go somewhere, you know. And I'm not saying that's the way it has to go. That's the land that's available right now. We're not the business or the person looking at it. You know, I would assume they know a lot more about if it's feasible or not than we do, as far as if they can put something there and make money. You know, I'm sure they've been doing it a lot longer than we have. We did not call anybody up and say, hey, there's a piece of land here, come buy it, you know. So, yeah, I don't need to talk about that. Yeah, but just my overarching theme here is we're not approving any plans for any buildings, you know. It's a rezoning of a property that someone wants to buy that was available. You know, I understand you say there's all this empty land, none of it's necessarily available. You know, and if it was available, for the right price, someone would buy it, I would assume, because stuff that's for the right price doesn't sit very long.
If I could piggyback on some of that, within zoning regulations, there are density restrictions that come with them. So R2 is gonna say a percentage based on the size of the land can only have so many units. At least that's my understanding of.
I believe it's like 3,000 square foot per unit, if I remember right.
So there are some controls within the framework that help us there to acknowledge some of those concerns. Again, echoing, we're just looking at the zoning right now. There's a concept called tapestry maps where they take GIS data and you look at adjacencies to other zones and trying to make it what am I trying to say? So like industrial isn't right by residences, etc. So with respect to that, the R2 does fit within the adjacent properties in that regard. With the water concerns, similar to you mentioning the traffic study, development requires what's called BMP, so it has to manage the water that's on the property. And propose a plan in order to mitigate concerns there. But that's, like you mentioned, the step down the road.
Yeah.
At this point, we're just looking at the zoning.
When was the east side of that road Was that rezoned at some point, or was that always,
The Creekside edition there,
you know,
yeah, that would have been like 3 years,
3 years ago?
2 or 3 years ago, that's not right.
And as far as I know, it's still available, right? Like, it's not,
Yeah, as far as I know.
yeah.
Was there any thought, I guess, when the comprehensive plan went together, why that wasn't designated, for instance? I noticed that, like, that west side didn't have future
Yeah, it
land
doesn't,
use.
so, most of the designations that had future land use were gonna be for, industrial and commercial, to kind of condense those into specific areas.
Gotcha.
The rest of it was left fairly open, with the understanding that, you know, the vast majority of that use is going to be residential.
Okay, that's kind of what I thought.
It's, I don't know how it all works, but the gist I got out of it, everybody seemed to be upset about the multifamily housing. Is it the multifamily or is it just single-family housing?
It's both.
It could
They
be both, yeah,
right.
there's a variety of uses that would be applicable under the multifamily housing zone. If you look at the countryside edition on the north side of town, I would say 90% of that is actually R2 multifamily housing. Now, most of them are single-family homes, but they did that to hit a shorter setback, 5 feet instead of 7 feet, for example. So, there's a variety of permitted uses in R2 and
Versus
single-family and multifamily both accepted.
Get off book of tricks here.
Is that what you guys were thinking of?
So R2 can be multifamily, so 3 or more dwelling units, single-family detached, single-family attached, church, library, school, park, electrical substation, accessory use buildings.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And then a number of conditional uses as well, but
Yeah.
most of those are you know,
R1.
similar to what you've seen in R1.
Yeah.
So just to be clear, it's not just apartments.
No.
No, it could be any of those things.
Yeah, it's certainly better than light industrial or commercial business, any of those, right? I mean, it makes sense that it's residential.
Yeah, what it is now and R2 will fit within the
The
framework.
plan, yeah.
But given what we're looking at tonight, I'm failing to see a lot of reasons to deny.
Because ultimately, we're deciding on rezoning it, not what they're doing with the land. They may never do anything with the land.
True. I mean, I would assume they did their due diligence and looked into floods and all that stuff, but
They had the wrong map.
Yeah,
They had the wrong map.
exactly.
that's,
We don't know who they are.
I
We
saw
don't know
it,
who they
I saw
are,
it with
but-
my face, they had the wrong map.
They didn't know it was a floodplain.
But with that being said,
right.
we're just zoning, yes, we approve, no, we don't approve. To get R2, switching it from ag to R2, the next step, if we approve or disapprove then the next person, whoever buys the land would have to come.
Well, the next step, it would go to the city council,
Yeah.
and they decide if they wanna take our recommendation or
Right.
not.
It's ultimately their decision as the
Right.
council.
Correct.
If the zoning were to change, I mean, it would take time, obviously, you have to have first, second readings and ordinance, so it has to go through that whole process. And then, you know, assuming it does go through, you know, there would have to be engineering submittals, all those things would have to follow. So everything would take.
And they would have to be approved and.
Yeah, we would have, I mean, we'd have to review all those. They've gotta have a plan for traffic, they've gotta have a plan for utilities, all of which is on the developer to come up with, and us as a regulatory arm to review and approve. So.
And at that time, we could acquiesce request for the tile to remain in place and the potential easements.
Depends on the process that they have to go through. If there's a preliminary plan, obviously that's something that'll come back to the planning commission. Whatever plan is submitted, I mean, you can't just not take drainage into account.
Right. And existing utilities,
All of it.
all of it.
Yep.
And the hope would be it'd improve from a floodplain perspective because of the runoff, essentially, technically. Or it wouldn't change.
Right, yeah, and I'd have to talk to the city engineer to have a full understanding of what those regulations look like again, but it's fairly regulated process.
And basically, the water can't go off the site. That can't be the plan.
Correct.
It's gotta be
It
managed.
has to stay the same or better by rights.
It can't, yeah, and this is where I need the city engineer to
Yeah.
speak up, but my recollection is that it can't leave the property at a faster rate or higher volume than it already did. That's my
That's a better way to
understanding.
do it.
But again, I prefer the city engineer to answer that, because that's not,
Yep.
I didn't go to school for that.
Nate, you would need a lift station for the sewer though, wouldn't you? It's awful low there.
It's hard to say without
Okay.
the elevations.
Any more discussion?
I appreciate all the input. The decision doesn't come lightly, but I would make a motion to recommend approval to the city council.
I would second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. We will move on to the public hearing for the conditional use permit on parcel 250.37.01.003.
Mr. Chairman, can I have you open public comment again at 7:52?
I will open public comment at 7:52.
Thank you. Commissioners, this application comes as a result of ongoing code enforcement action on the adjoining properties owned by Dick and Janice Lund. Over the course of enforcement, the city required a conditional use permit for the ongoing concrete business located on the property. Overall, there are no restrictions on the use of the property as home occupation under the applicable conditional use permit. There are several conditions that would help protect the neighboring properties, I would suggest. Those include screened parking, no outdoor storage materials and supplies, no outdoor maintenance and/or repair of equipment or vehicles. The applicant is here tonight, I assume to speak in favor of his application. And I recommend that you ask for public comment for and against the conditional use permit.
Okay, open public comment for or against the application.
I'm for it.
We'll start with you. Get your name and address,
Dick
please.
Line, 402nd, Lennox. I've been using it like that for probably 15 years. You know, I didn't realize I was doing things wrong all this time. Nobody's ever said anything, so here I am. You know? I don't know, I don't have a whole lot to say. I've been pretty much called here more than, you know, I didn't come up with this. I think Nate did. And, I don't know. I'd like to see it go through. I don't know what it.
So, I guess, I'm trying to find the right piece of paper. I guess I haven't been down Second for a little bit. I usually head out on Fourth, but, are you, like, any of these, I don't know if I call them stipulations, but, yeah, stipulations of a conditional use permit, basically. The screened parking, no outdoor storage of materials and supplies, no outdoor maintenance or repair of equipment, is that stuff all good with you?
Well, not all of it, I guess. I mean, I don't have a shed big enough to work on a truck, a big truck anyway. So, you know, if they need something, I pretty much do that outside. I mean, I put it back behind the fence and do it, but
I was gonna say, I drove by today and it was screened.
uh,
It was, you've got a fence there already.
I do have one. So I've got that room to use, and that's what I have, you know, I mean, there's no buildings on that lot at all. And it's mostly for just parking trailers and trucks.
Pull up the GIS. My printout didn't come out very, it's hard to read. Give me a second. Okay, so it's the lot between the house and the two houses.
Correct. Yep.
Okay. Is there anybody else that wants to talk? Are you
No, I'm good.
got anything else? Okay. Anybody else that wants to say anything? Okay, then I'll close public comment at 7:57 and open up discussion. Okay.
Basically just looking for a conditional use permit to run a business.
Yep, yeah, it's a home occupation, it's been there for a while. Not, the screen parking or storage and material supply, that is probably the largest concern we have. I don't know if there's a ton of repair that has to happen there, but, with a concrete business, obviously, you're gonna have some things that go out from time to time. Things break.
But they don't make money if they're broken, so you fix them.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, if the screening is up to par and there's not stacks of materials and stuff sitting out there, I don't see any issues.
And we can work with the applicant on the timing of that screening. I know we're almost in November here, so
Yeah.
if additional work needs to be done, we don't certainly expect that to be done over the course of the winter, so.
Yeah, yeah.
seems like a reasonable application with the provisions in place.
The conditions that we're looking at, typically when we see any sort of construction business, what we're really usually focused on is the outdoor storage of equipment and materials. That's typically the issues that pop up. Obviously, if it's kept tidy, so on and so forth, that does help. But we don't want lumber sitting outside, for example, or scaffolding, those kinds of things. So.
Maintain the residential feel and scale
Right,
of the
right.
neighborhood. Yeah.
And it is a bit of an odd property because there's no home on the property. It is zoned residential yet. My guess is at one point there was a home there, but not anymore.
Thinking there needs to be more screen parking, or, because when I drove by, that's there, and
It could probably, just from when I was looking at the GIS, it could probably extend a little farther maybe.
To the east.
driveway.
To the east, yeah. I don't know. It's hard without being
Yeah, there's a
there.
fence that goes about halfway through the property from east to west.
Yeah.
so it'd have to go across the whole property as well, or things would have to be behind it.
Behind it.
Yeah.
Which is what the conditional use permit with the rules and regulations, correct?
Not the screening specifically. That's something we typically would want when you're talking about outdoor storage. So part of the conditional use permit process is that you can place conditions on that conditional use, and these are some of the options you have.
So, is there a fence around the back side of the property too? Like,
A fence around the back side of the property?
No,
no?
no, it's not.
Okay.
There's two garages. There's only probably 15 feet, maybe 18 feet to the property line on the west side of the house,
Yeah.
from the house to the.
Couldn't tell.
Yeah, I'm talking on the north side.
On the north side.
It looks to me like there's a fence.
There is another fence area.
Okay.
That belongs to the neighbor.
Okay. That was what I was getting at. Yeah, I mean, I don't,
Looks like there's all gravel back there too.
It is.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah,
It's a tricky area when you're trying to, it's been used this way for a while. Ordinances maybe were a little bit different back in the day, especially with surfacing. So you're trying to kind of thread the needle here on what's reasonable.
I'd make a motion to approve the conditional use permit with the understanding that there'd be screened parking, no outdoor storage of materials and supplies, and limited maintenance and repair of equipment or vehicles.
I like that word.
Second.
Any further discussion? Okay, we got a motion and a second to approve, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll move on to the open visitors to be heard portion. If there's any visitors to be heard on any other topics? Seeing none, we'll move on to the minutes from the September 25th meeting. Anybody see anything wrong? They look good.
I'd make a motion to approve the minutes from September 25th.
Second.
Got a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Kyle, got any reports?
Construction update, as of Monday, we're up to 137 new permits for 2025. A lot of roofing, decks, fences, sheds, siding projects, so typical. Still nothing new on the new construction side. Compared to last year, we're down. I know we got a bunch last year, August. We haven't seen anything new yet for the new for countryside. I think I got my report, the permit values comparing last year and this year kind of reinforces what I just said. Last year we had the school project, so that kind of skewed the commercial side a bit. Yeah, just fewer new construction permits have skewed that residential a little bit compared to last year. Any questions on the building side? And code enforcement, fairly light. Got a violation for tree branches, low hanging branches over the street or sidewalk, and then I had one for parking on the grass. Any questions on that?
Thank you, Kyle. New business, plat for tract 5A of the Poppins edition.
Commissioners, this is a plat that is outside of city limits, but within the city's platting jurisdiction. As such, we require a pre-annexation agreement that's been signed and notarized by the applicant. So that's ready to roll. The plat itself is fairly self-explanatory in terms of what it's trying to accomplish. So combining several tracts into one there, that's tract 5A of Poppins edition. Has been reviewed and approved by the city engineer. We recommend its approval, which would take it to the city council on Monday, October 27th.
Any discussion? If not, I would look for a motion.
I would move recommendation to approve to the city council.
I'll second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. That just leaves the back page.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Hey Nate, you got a different pen to sign this or will real?
Yeah, I'll bring it.
Okay.